You ever look at a task and it feels like you're trying to read a secret code? Well, in the world of apprenticeships, some skills are exactly like that. So today, we're going to crack one of the biggest codes a project controls apprentice has to face, and we'll do it by following the story of someone on a quest to master it.
So let me introduce you to Jody. She's a really sharp level 6 project controls apprentice over at IBS Stores. She's deep in the mix, handling schedules, tracking costs, and honestly, she's crushing it. She is really good at her job.
But there's always that one thing, right? For Jody, there's this one specific skill on her apprenticeship that just feels huge. It's less like a task and more like this massive, unclimbable mountain standing right in her way.
And here's the mountain, skill S19. I mean, just look at that definition. It's a mouthful, isn't it? It's this wall of words talking about evidence and assurance, risk analysis, contingencies, the whole shebang. So you can see why Jody was overwhelmed. This isn't just about finding a number. It's about building a completely bulletproof, evidence-backed story behind that number.
Luckily for Jody, she's got a mentor named Adam. Now, Adam's a veteran. He's been doing this for years. And when he sees that wall of text, he doesn't see a barrier. He sees a map. And he's about to teach Jody exactly how to read it, turning all that complexity into a super clear path.
Adam starts with his golden rule. He tells Jody, look, forget all that official jargon for a second. Just remember this. Every single estimate you create has to pass 3 simple tests. Can you explain it? Can you defend it? And is it solid enough for a director to bet millions on it? Explainable, defendable, and decision-ready.
And this is where Adam really reframes it. He explains that this skill is all about using your professional judgment, backed up with hard evidence. It is about being transparent, so anyone can see how you got your numbers. But what it's absolutely not is using the same cookie-cutter technique for everything. It's not about just pulling numbers out of thin air. And it's definitely not treating assurance, that final check, like it's some optional extra.
So, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. Adam lays out this simple 5-step map. He says, we're not climbing the whole mountain at once. We're going to do it in stages. First, understand the why. Then, pick your tools. After that, you check your own work. Then you think about what could go wrong. And finally, you write the whole story down. See? All of a sudden, it feels totally doable.
Now, to make sure this really sinks in, Adam uses an analogy that is just brilliant. He says to her, Jody, think of this whole process like you're baking a cake for a super important client. You wouldn't just chuck some ingredients in a bowl and hope for the best, would you? He starts by comparing selecting a technique to choosing a recipe. Are you making a batch of simple cupcakes? He asks. Okay, an analogy estimate basing it on a similar project you've done before, that's probably fine. But what if you're making a massive 5-tier wedding cake? Well, for that, you need a detailed bottom-up recipe where you cost out every single ingredient, every hour of labor, every decoration. Then he moves on to estimate assurance. This, he says, is my favorite part. It's tasting the batter. It's that moment where you stick a spoon in and go, did I forget the sugar? Is something off? In estimating, this is when you challenge your own assumptions. You check the logic. You have to ask, does this actually make sense before you commit? Okay, what about cost-risk analysis? Well, Adam says that's the allergy check. Before you let anyone eat that cake, you have to think about what could go wrong. Does a guest have a nut allergy? That's a known risk you can plan for. But what if your oven breaks halfway through? That's an uncertainty. This step is all about spotting those potential disasters and having a plan for them. And finally, there's the basis of estimate, the BOE. Adam explains, this is you writing out the full recipe card for the client. It explains the recipe you chose and why. It lists every single ingredient, those are your assumptions, and it has clear warnings about any potential allergies, those are your risks. It's the complete story of your cake. So the light bulb just goes on for Jody. She totally gets it now. But a new question pops up. How does she prove she can do all this? Well, that's where her coach Olivia comes in. Olivia's job is to be the bridge between Jody's new baking skills and the formal evidence her apprenticeship portfolio, Aptum, demands.
Olivia puts it on the table, literally. She shows Jody what assessors are looking for. They don't just want the answer, she says. They need to see your thinking. Your reflective statement has to explain why you chose a certain technique. Your assurance review has to show you actively challenge things, not just nod it along. And that BOE has to connect all the dots between the estimate, the risks, and the decision it supports.
And to write that perfect Bowie, that perfect recipe card, Olivia gives her this checklist. It's the secret sauce. You've got to explain your method, list all your assumptions and exclusions, detail all the risks and uncertainties, justify your contingency fund, and, this is key, be crystal clear about what the estimate can and cannot be used for.
Okay, Jody's skills are sharp. Her portfolio is building up with solid evidence. There is just one final hurdle to clear, the endpoint assessment, or EPA. This is that big professional discussion where an assessor is going to grill her. So to prepare, Adam and Olivia decide to put her through a practice run.
Adam kicks off with a classic question. He asks, Jody, looking at this project evidence, talk me through why you selected that specific estimating technique. Now, this isn't about finding the one right answer. It's all about her ability to justify her professional judgment.
And Jody is so ready. She doesn't just name the technique, she tells the story behind it. She'll say something like, well, since the project was in an early concept stage, we didn't have enough detail for a bottom-up estimate. So I chose a parametric technique using historical data from 3 similar projects. This was proportionate and gave us the right level of accuracy for the initial investment decision. You see? Deliberate and defendable, that's the key.
Olivia jumps in with the next one. That's great, but how did you perform assurance? How do we know you didn't just accept the data you were given? What did you challenge? They want to see that she's a critical thinker, not just a human calculator.
And again, Jody explains her process. She talks about checking the estimate against the project scope, making sure everything aligned. She gives a specific example, like how she challenged some of the labor rates because they seemed way too low and weren't backed by any evidence. She proved her goal was to make sure the final number was logical, traceable, and actually fit for purpose.
Okay, so you have your base estimate, but we all know projects are messy. Tell me how you determined the contingency and how you communicated all that uncertainty to the stakeholders.
And she absolutely nails it. She explains the contingency wasn't a guess, it was calculated directly from her risk analysis. And she didn't just give her managers one number, she communicated a confidence level. She'd say, we have an 80% confidence or a P80 value that the project will come in at or below this final cost. And then she would have been very clear about all the assumptions that went into that statement.
You see, through this whole journey, Jody realized that skill S19 was never really about the math. A great estimate isn't just a number. It's a story. It's the story of how that number came to be, the story of how much trust you can put in it, and the story of all the risks you've already planned for.
In the end, Jody conquered her mountain. What was once this huge, intimidating skill is now her superpower. So that means the quest is now yours. After hearing all this, what's the first estimate, maybe at work, maybe even just for a personal project, that you're going to look at with these new evidence-based eyes?